Hola a todos, ¿qué tal? Soy Laura. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'd like to make a little introduction about the subjunctive. The subjunctive is one of the hardest aspects of the Spanish grammar, so at times it might feel like a struggle, but you can do this. You need to do a bit every day. I'm going to do the explanations for this video in English instead of Spanish, so you can get a better understanding. The best thing to do to learn the subjunctive is to practice it often. Practice it within different situations, hear it out, get familiar with it and try to understand it. It can take some time for you to be able to distinguish when to use it, but it's all practice and patience. My aim is to help you and guide you to get a better understanding. So today, we'll have a look at the first things that you need to know about the subjunctive. So I put together this guide and I've tried to do it in the best possible way for you to find it as easy as possible. Okay, let's begin. So first of all, what's the subjunctive? The subjunctive is a verb form that is used in certain circumstances, especially when expressing some sort of feeling, desire, when there's an element of doubt, when we don't know whether something will happen or whether something is true. So far, you've been using the indicative mode. The indicative mode is used to indicate or to report something. For instance, I know that you speak Spanish. Sé que hablas español. But in every subjunctive sentence, there is always some kind of aspect of uncertainty. Something that we don't know or that is not controllable. For instance, I hope that you speak Spanish. Espero que hables español. So in the indicative mode, you are certain of something. Sé que hablas español. But in the subjunctive, you are saying that you hope that this person speaks Spanish. So you hope something, you don't know it. Espero que hables español. I hope that you speak Spanish. So that's why the second part of the sentence is subjunctive, because the speaker doesn't know whether you speak Spanish or not. So the speaker has a desire that you speak Spanish rather than actually knowing that you do or that you don't, in which case we would use the indicative mode, because we know. The subjunctive mode can make references to the past, present, and future. And it's also used to give orders and instructions not to do something. There are sentences in which you'll be able to use subjunctive or indicative, depending on what the person who's speaking is expressing. Okay, so let's have a look at the conjugation of the present subjunctive. The present subjunctive refers to present or future. Are you ready? ¿Estás listo? I hope you're ready. Espero que estés listo. Okay, so the first thing we will do is take the first person singular of the present of indicative, and please note that this is for regular verbs and irregular verbs. Okay, so we take the first person present singular indicative and we will remove the letter O and then we will be left with the stem. For instance, cantar, canto, without the O is cant. That's the stem that we want. Beber, bebo, without the O is beb. That's the stem that we want. Vivir, vivo, without the O is viv. That's our stem. So for the verbs of the first conjugation that finish in ar, the endings will be es, hemos, eis, en. For instance, with the verb cantar, it would conjugate like this. Cante, cantes, cante, cantemos, cantéis, canten. For the verbs that finish in ir, the endings will be a, as, a, amos, ais, an. For instance, with the verb beber, it will conjugate like this. Beba, bebas, beba, bebamos, bebáis, beban. For the verbs that finish in ir, the endings will be a, as, a, amos, ais, an. So if we take the verb vivir, we would say viva, vivas, viva, vivamos, viváis, vivan. So the irregular ones that are irregular in present of indicative are also irregular in present subjunctive. These verbs are also called boot verbs. Why are they called like that? Because nosotros and vosotros are out of the boot. Let's take a look at the verb calentar. Let's conjugate it. Caliente, calientes, caliente. Calentemos, calentéis, calienten. Let's see the verb jugar. Juegue, juegues, juegue. Juguemos, juguéis, jueguen. There's also other boot verbs like contar, soñar, perder, llover, mentir, sentir. In stem changing ir verbs, the present subjunctive shows changes in the stem of the nosotros and vosotros form. So, let's take a look at it from the indicative, and then I'll show you the change in the subjunctive. Okay, so the first group of stem changing verbs involves changing the o in the verb stem to ue. But in the subjunctive, the o changes to u. For instance, the verb dormir, durmamos, durmáis. In the second group stem changing verbs, we change the e in the verb stem to ie in indicative, and then the e changes to I in the subjunctive. For instance, the verb mentir, mintamos, mintáis. And the third group of stem changing verbs involves changing the e in the verb stem to I in indicative. And then in the subjunctive, the e changes to I. For instance, the verb pedir, pidamos, pidáis. Remember, these changes are only for the nosotros and vosotros form. And then we have the super irregular ones. Those are ser, estar, ir, dar, saber, haber. I'll show you how these ones are conjugated. Ser, sea, seas, sea, seamos, seáis, sean. Estar, esté, estés, esté, estemos, estéis, estén. Ir, vaya, vayas, vaya, vayamos, vayáis, vayan. Dar, de, des, de, demos, deis, den. Saber, sepa, sepas, sepa, sepamos, sepáis, sepan. Haber, haya, hayas, haya, hayamos, hayáis, hayan. Now try and conjugate the following verbs to practice. You can pause this video if you like, or you can just do it at the end. It's completely up to you. This is just for you to practice. Okay, so practice with soñar, mover, sentir, preferir, perder, empezar, despertarse. And now let's practice with some sentences. I'm going to say them first in English and then I'll translate into Spanish. I don't think it's right that there's so much stuff on the floor. No me parece bien que haya tantas cosas por el suelo. I'm glad he's going to his house. Me alegro de que se vaya a su casa. It's not normal that Luis plays football so badly. No es normal que Luis juegue al fútbol tan mal. I hope that you are very happy. Que seáis muy felices. Or you could also say, espero que seáis muy felices. I want you to give me more bread. Quiero que me des más pan. I hope that Juan knows what he's doing. Espero que Juan sepa lo que hace. Jesús wants you to shut the window. Jesús quiere que cierres la ventana. I wish they have fun in Spain. Ojalá se diviertan en España. Don't ask me for any more money, please. No me pidas más dinero, por favor. When Luis studies more, he will pass the exam. Cuando Luis estudie más, aprobará el examen. I don't want you to drink so much Coke. No quiero que bebas tanta Coca-Cola. I want you to help me with my job. Quiero que me ayudes con mi trabajo. I think it's great that Roberto cleans the house. Me parece genial que Roberto limpie la casa. Okay, so that's the end. I hope you get a rough idea of the subjunctive. This was just an introduction to it. I'm working on more subjunctive material so that you can get to understand it and use it well. I will see you very soon for more subjunctive. Hasta luego y muchísimas gracias. Adiós.